Lucas had always been full of life. At 22 years old, his passion for soccer kept him moving, dreaming of becoming a professional player. Everyone in his small town knew him for his speed and his ability to score last-minute goals. He seemed unstoppable, or at least that's what he thought. One summer afternoon, during a crucial game with his friends, the unimaginable happened. As he raced toward the ball, aiming to take control of the game, a sharp pain shot through his back. In a matter of seconds, his world fell apart. He collapsed to the ground, unable to get up. His friends rushed to his side, but Lucas already knew something was terribly wrong. Hours later, in the hospital, came the devastating news: a severe spinal injury. The doctor's words echoed in his mind: "You will never walk again." Time stood still. Lucas, the boy who ran like the wind, was now trapped in a hospital bed with an uncertain future. The days that followed were dark, filled with silent tears and empty stares at the ceiling. How could he move forward when the dream that had defined his life was shattered in an instant? Weeks passed, and Lucas barely spoke. His family tried to lift his spirits, but he was stuck in a spiral of despair. Everything changed one night when his younger sister Clara entered his room with tears in her eyes. "You can't give up, Lucas. I need you. Mom and Dad need you. You're our rock." Those words hit Lucas deep in his heart. He remembered all the times he had encouraged his team to never give up, even when the score was against them. How could he ask others to fight if he wasn't willing to do it himself? That night, he made a decision. He wasn't going to let this injury define the rest of his life. He was going to fight, even if the whole world told him it was impossible. The first day of physical therapy was brutal. Lucas had imagined he would make quick progress, but even lifting one leg felt impossible. The muscles that once allowed him to fly across the soccer field were now stiff and weak. But he didn't give up. Day after day, through tears of frustration and pain, he pushed his body beyond its limits. Every morning, he arrived at the therapy room with the same thought: one more step today, just one more. Most of the time, that step was so small it barely seemed like progress. But Lucas knew that every movement, every muscle contraction, was bringing him closer to his goal. Weeks turned into months. While other patients came and went, Lucas stayed, working with a determination that surprised even the doctors. There were days he wanted to quit, days when the pain was so unbearable that he felt his body wasn't his own. But in those moments, he remembered his sister's words and forced himself to continue. A year after the injury that almost destroyed him, Lucas could move around in his wheelchair with more ease. But his dream was to walk again. One day, his physical therapist, Dr. Rodriguez, looked him straight in the eye and said, "Lucas, I know you want to walk, but the road won't be easy. However, if you're willing to try, I'll be with you every step of the way." That promise was all he needed. From that moment on, every therapy session became more intense. Lucas started using leg braces to try and stand up. At first, he fell constantly. Fear and frustration resurfaced, but something inside him told him he couldn't stop. Progress was slow, but real. One day, during a therapy session, he managed to stand for 5 seconds without help. 5 seconds that to many might seem insignificant, but for Lucas, they were proof that all his effort had not been in vain. A year and a half after the accident that nearly broke him, Lucas stood before a small group of friends and family at the rehabilitation center. They all watched him with anticipation, not knowing what to expect. Lucas, with braces on both legs and trembling hands, decided to try the impossible. With a deep breath and under the watchful eye of Dr. Rodriguez, Lucas took his first step. The room fell silent. One step, then another, and then a third. Tears began to stream down his mother's face, and Clara, unable to hold back, ran to him and embraced him. Lucas, with his heart pounding, understood in that moment that it didn't matter how many more steps he took that day. What truly mattered was that he had conquered hopelessness, Lucas never became the young man who dreamed of professional soccer again. His life took a new direction. He became a symbol of hope for others in the hospital. He gave motivational talks, not only to patients with physical injuries, but to anyone facing adversity. His story became a lesson that sometimes the greatest victory isn't in recovering what was lost, but in discovering the strength that has always been inside you.